Tomorrow is January 6th, the day the House and the Senate must come together to certify the Electoral College votes. In this case, that means we are likely going to see President-elect Trump's victory certified. And because of a new law, there probably won't be as much drama as we saw back on January 6, 2021. But lawmakers still have the right to challenge a state's slate of electors, so anything can happen. Here's what you need to know about what's about to go down tomorrow. After the November election, now President-elect Donald Trump secured 312 electoral votes, and Vice President Harris secured 226 electoral votes. Here is the electoral map. So just a few weeks ago, all the real electors met in every single one of these states and cast their official electoral ballots to correspond with each of the numbers that you see. And then those certified electoral votes from the states get transmitted to Washington, D.C. And on January 6th, the Congress meets in a joint session to count and certify those votes. And the vice president, who also serves as the president of the Senate, is required to preside over that entire process. The law that governs that process is called the Electoral Count Act. It was established in 1887. But if you remember back to 2021, after then President Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden, Trump and his lawyers tried to argue that that 1887 law was vague and there was some wiggle room that would allow for Vice President Mike Pence to not certify the electoral votes on January 6th and instead send them back to the states. You remember that. Mike Pence famously told Trump he did not have that power. Mike Pence did not send the electoral votes back to the states. There was a riot at the Capitol, and you know the rest of that story. Well, what you might not know, even though I did report it here on this page when it happened, was in 2022, Congress updated that 1887 law. A bipartisan group of Democrats and Republicans passed, and President Biden signed into law, the Electoral Count Reform and Presidential Transition Improvement Act. That new law ensures that there would be no more questions and no more wiggle room in how lawmakers are required to count and certify electoral votes on January 6th. Not only did the Electoral Count Reform Act clarify that the vice president's role in counting those electoral votes is purely ceremonial, it also increased the threshold that has to be met before any lawmaker can challenge any state's slate of electors. Under the 1887 law, all it took to challenge a slate of electors was one House member and one senator to join forces, and just the two of them could challenge an entire slate of electors from any state they wanted. But under the updated law, it now takes 1/5 of the House and 1/5 of the Senate to come together to challenge any state's slate of electors. For the record, the law also requires that only one slate of electors can be transmitted to Congress from any given state. If you remember back to 2021, there was those alternate slates of electors or fake electors transmitted to Congress on top of the real ones. So the new law forbids that from happening. So the question now is, will there be any challenges made to any state's slate of electors tomorrow? We're going to have to watch and see what happens in Congress.